Welcome dear students. Today we are going to discuss the classic story The Beggar, written by Anton Chekhov. Okay, so it is one of the classics, world classic story, The Beggar, written by Anton Chekhov. Okay, so let us begin with the explanation line by line. Kind sir, have pity, turn your attention to a poor hungry man. This is the beggar who's begging. The name of the beggar in the story is said to be Lashkov, and he says, for 3 days I have had nothing to eat. He has not eaten anything for 3 days. I haven't 5 kopecks for a lodging. Kopecks is the currency of Russia, as you can see in the picture. So he says, I don't even have 5 kopecks for a lodging, to some place to live. I don't have money. I swear it before God. For 8 years I was a village school teacher, and then I lost my place through intrugs. Intrugs are the people who give you false statements, and he came under the false statements, and that is why he lost his job. I fall a victim to calumny, false statement. It is a year now since I have had anything to do. So somebody has come there, somebody has given him wrong information about a job offer. He came there and he lost his job. This is the excuse that he was giving. The advocate Sergey. Now Sergey is the second character, the central character and the main character. He looked at the ragged fawn colored overcoat of the suppliant. Suppliant is the beggar. Fawn color is this color, and this is a kind of an overcoat that I wanted to show you. And he looked at the man with the ragged fawn colored overcoat and his dull drunken eyes, at the red spot on either cheek, and it seemed to him as if he had seen this man somewhere before, because this beggar had a habit of begging. I have now had an offer of position in the province of Kaluga. Now Kaluga, as you can see, this is the map of Russia. It's a place here. So he wanted to go to this place, and that is why he was asking money. The mendicant went on. Mendicant again refers to the beggar. You see, he has used a number of words for the beggar. We have used the word beggar, suppliant, mendicant, waif. In the class we have discussed. But I haven't the money to get there. Help me kindly. I am ashamed to ask, but I am obliged by my circumstances. He says, I cannot help anything, sir. It is my circumstances that have forced me to ask for you to beg. Sergey's eyes fell on the man's overshoes, one of which was high and the other low. What are overshoes? Overshoes are the covering shoes like this. Once you wear your shoes, you can wear them, because Russia is a very cold country. So that's why these people wear overshoes. And he suddenly remembered something. Seeing the shoes of this man, Sergey could remember something. He says, look here, it seems to me I met you the day before yesterday at Sadovia Street, he said. But you told me then you were a student who had been expelled and not a village school teacher. Do you remember? Now he had caught this man red-handed. He said that I have met you in this particular street, and you told me then that you were a student who has been expelled from the college or the school, and you were not a school teacher. No, that can't be so, mumbled the beggar, taken aback. The beggar was shocked, because he was not expecting anybody to catch his lies. And it is said, no, that a liar should have a very good memory. So here Lashkov did not have a very good memory while lying. I am a village school teacher, and if you like, I can show you my papers. So he says, no, I am a village school teacher, I'll show you my papers. Sergey is very angry. He said, have you done with lying? You call yourself a student and even told me what you had been expelled for. Don't you remember? So he's again asking. Sergey flushed and turned from the ragged creature with an expression of disgust. Flushed, he was very angry, red, temperamental, okay, and disgust is an extreme expression of showing anger. So he was very disgusted by this man. This is dishonesty, my dear sir, he cried angrily. This is swindling. I shall send the police for you, damn you. So he starts cursing him. He says, this is swindling. Swindling, that is, you are trying to rob money from people, and I'm going to send the police and make it a point that you go inside the jail. Sir, he said, laying his hand on his heart, the fact is, I am lying. I am neither a student nor a school teacher. All that was fiction. So now Lashkov, the beggar, tells the reality that I am not a student, not even a school teacher. That was all created. Formerly I sang in a Russian choir and was sent away for drunkenness, because he was addicted to drinking liquor. What else can I do? I can't get along without lying. He says, I cannot do anything without lying. No one will give me anything when I tell them the truth. What can I do? What do? I don't have a choice. What can you do? You ask what you can do, cried Sergey, coming close to him. Work. That's what you can do. You must work. So Sergey is very angry. He says, work. Why are you asking people to give you money for free? Go and do some work. Work. Yes, I know that myself, but where can I find work? Now he's very honest about it. He says, okay, I'm ready to work, but who's going to give work to a person who's a drunkard? How would you like to chop wood for me? Sergey makes an offer. Would you like to come and do some chopping of wood for me? So I'm sorry, this is the Russian choir that he is mentioning, that he used to be a part of it. I forgot to show you this. So he says, will you mind chopping the wood for me? I wouldn't refuse to do that, but in these days even skilled woodcutters find themselves sitting without bread. He says, I cannot refuse you, but these days not even the skilled ones are not getting job. Will you come and chop wood for me? Yes sir, I will. Very well, we'll soon find out. So now he goes. Sergey hastened along. So Sergey went along, rubbing his hands. He called his cook out of the kitchen. Here Olga. Now Olga is the third main character and the last character. There are only three characters in the entire story. One is Lashkov the beggar, second is Sergey, and third is Olga. He said, take this gentleman into the woodshed and let him chop wood. The scarecrow of a beggar. Scarecrow is a device like this which is put up in the forest or in the fields, so that they don't eat, the birds don't eat, or the fields. Okay, so that is why, to scare away the crow. Of the beggar shrugged his shoulders as if in perplexity. He was confused and went irresolutely after the cook. He was not knowing what to do. He was undefinite about it. It was obvious from his gait, the manner of his walking, that he had not consented to go and chop wood because he was hungry and wanted work, but simply from pride and shame, and because he had been trapped by his own words. So he was not coming here just because he wanted work, just because he was caught by his own words. That who's going to give me work? He said, I will give you work, and he said, okay, I'll do it. So now you can understand that he was trapped. It was obvious too that his strength had been undermined by vodka, and that he was unhealthy and did not feel the slightest inclination for toil. Toil is hard labor. He did not have the slightest of inclination or liking or wanting to do this kind of labor. Sergey hurried into the dining room. From its window one could see the woodshed and everything that went on in the yard. Standing at the window, Sergey saw the cook and the beggar come out into the yard by the back door and make their way across the dirty snow to the shed. So he saw that how Olga and this man were going to the shed. Olga glared wrathfully. Glaring is viewing with eyes bursting out, wrathfully, very angrily at a companion, shoved him, pushed him aside with an elbow, unlocked the shed and angrily banged the door. So Olga was very angry. Next he saw the pseudo teacher. Now you see another word, mendicant, suppliant, beggar, pseudo teacher, ragged creature, seat himself on a log and became lost in thought, and with his red cheeks resting on his fist, the woman flung down an axe at his feet, spat angrily, spoke something very angrily, and judging from the expression of her lips began to scold him. Olga was scolding him. The beggar irresolutely pulled out a billet of wood towards him, set it between his feet and tapped it feebly with the axe. So as you can see here, these are the billets of the wood. The woodcutter or this man took out a wood piece and he was trying to tap it. Feebly means weakly. Okay. The billet wavered and fell down because he was so drunk and he was not having enough stamina and strength, and although he was an unskilled worker. The beggar again pulled it to him, blew on his freezing hands and tapped it with his axe cautiously, as if afraid of hitting his overshoe or cutting off his finger. The stick of wood again fell to the ground. Now he was not able to do any work, okay, because he was not used to doing any kind of labor, never ever done any kind of hard work. Sergey's angers had vanished, and he now began to feel a little sorry and ashamed of himself for having set a spoiled, drunken, perhaps sick man to work at menial labor in the cold. Now Sergey was feeling very disgusted again, because this time it was not disgust of anger, but he thought, why had he made such a men go and work who was spoiled, drunk, and he was sick, and such a hard, tough labor in the cold. An hour later, Olga came in and announced that the wood had been chopped. Finally, he did some work. Good. Give him half a ruble, said Sergey. If he wants to he can come back and cut wood on the first day of each month. We can always find work for him. So Sergey was a very noble man, as you see in the story, and he wanted to save this man from all the sufferings. He says, okay, tell him that he can come on the first of every month and he can do some work, and we'll give him some work. On the first of the month, the waif, Waif is again a small thin person, made his appearance and again earned half a ruble, that is 50 kopecks. Although he could barely stand on his legs from the day he often appeared in the yard, and this is the currency, okay, ruble. Every time work was found for him. Now he would shovel snow, that is push the snow aside, put the woodshed in order, and now beat the dust out of the rags and mattresses. Every time he received from 20 to 40 kopecks, and once even a pair of old trousers was sent out to him. So he was even given a pair of trousers from Sergi. When Sergi moved into another house, he hired him to help in the packing and hauling of the furniture. Hauling is the pushing of the furniture. This time the waif was sober. Sober means simple, but here it means somebody who is not drunk. Gloomy, sad and silent. He hardly touched the furniture and walked behind the wagons, hanging his head. Wagons means the vehicles that were carrying the furniture. Not even making a pretense of appearing busy. He was not even willing to show that he is doing something actually. He only shivered in the cold, because Russia, as I told you, is very cold, and became embarrassed when the carters jeered at him. Carters were making fun of him, they were laughing at him, at his idleness, that is so idle, his feebleness, his weakness, and his tattered fancy overcoat, because he doesn't have proper clothes. As the name of the story goes, he is a beggar. After the moving was over, Sergi sent for him. Well, I'm happy that my words have taken effect, he said, handing him a ruble. This time he got 1 ruble. Here's for your pains. I see you are sober and have no objection to work. What is your name? Lushkov. After months of knowing him, this is the first time we come to know that Sergi has asked this man his name, and his name is Lushkov. Well, Lushkov, I can now offer you some other cleaner employment. Can you write? So he asks, can you write? He says, I can. Then take this letter to a friend of mine tomorrow, and you will be given some copying to do. Work hard, don't drink, and remember what I have said to you. Goodbye. So now this man goes away saying that you can do this work. And earlier children, there used to be no photocopy machines, so people used to write the work by the hands, copy some work, and they used to be paid for it. Pleased at having a man put on the right path, Sergi tapped Lushkov kindly on the shoulder and even gave him his hand at parting. Lushkov took the letter, and from that day forth came no more to the yard for work. So this story ends here. This was the first part of the story. Now we see what happens after 2 years. 2 years went by. Then one evening, as Sergi was standing at the ticket window of a theatre paying for his seat, he noticed a little man beside him with a coat collar of curly fur. There was a man who was wearing an expensive coat and a worn sealskin cap, a leather cap. This time, this little individual timidly asked the ticket seller for a seat in the gallery and paid for it in copper coins. And as I told you in the class also, theatre was something which was meant for the rich folk. Okay. Lushkov, is that you? Cried Sergi, recognizing in the little man his former woodchopper. They meet again. How are you? What are you doing? How is everything with you? Sergi is very happy to meet him. Alright, I'm a notary now and I'm paid 35 rubles a month. So notary is a public officer. Notary does the following thing. He signs the documents. He authenticates the documents. He verbally confirms that each party understands the agreement. Okay, he provides a seal or a stamp. So these are the works of a notary. Okay, and being a notary is a big position. Thank heaven, that's fine. I am delighted for your sake. He says, I'm very happy for you. I am very, very glad, Lushkov. You see, you're my godson. Like we have a godfather, he says, you're my godson. And as you can see, this is the picture from your book. This is Sergi. This is Lushkov, the beggar now. Okay, so he has changed. He has become a notary now. I gave you, in a sense, I gave you a push along the right path, you know. Do you remember what a roasting I gave you? Roasting is scolding. I nearly had you sinking into the ground at my feet that day. So the first day they met, and the second time when he has caught him red-handed, what a kind of a roasting he has given. Thank you, old man, for not forgetting my words. So Sergi is actually taking the credit. He thinks that it is because of him that this man has changed. Thank you too, said Lushkov. If I hadn't come to you, then I might still be calling myself a teacher or a student to this day. So it was true. Yes, by flying to your protection, I dragged myself out of a pit. He became something. I am very glad indeed. Thank you for your kind words and deeds. I am very grateful to you and to your cook. God bless that good and old noble woman. Now, why is he thanking Olga? You spoke finely then, and I shall be indebted to you for the dying day, but strictly speaking, it was your cook Olga who saved me. So he says it was because of Olga. He says, how is that? When I used to come to your house to chop wood, she used to begin, oh, you sot you. That means, oh, you drunkard. Okay, a habitual drunkard. Oh, you miserable creature, there's nothing for you but ruin. You can understand the kind of words she used to use for this person. And then she would sit down opposite me and grow sad, look into my face and weep, as if she was suffering. Oh, you unlucky man, there's no pleasure for you in the world, and there will be none in the world to come, you drunkard. You will burn in hell. Oh, you unhappy one. And so she would carry on, in that strain. I can't tell how much misery she suffered, how many tears she shed for my sake, but the chief thing was, she used to chop the wood for me. Do you know, sir, that I did not chop one single stick of wood for you? She did it all. Why this saved me, why I changed, why I stopped drinking at the sight of her, I cannot explain. I only know that, owing to her words and noble deeds, a change took in my heart. So it was because of the maid Olga. The ending is superb because he says this transformation has come because of her crying or her saying or her cursing. She set me right and I shall never forget it. However, it is time to go. There goes the bell. Lashkov bowed and departed to the gallery. At the end, he departs by saying that the bell has gone and it's time for the theatre. I hope you like this explanation. Thank you, children.